Today's video is my renal diet from yesterday. So I go through my diet that I had yesterday. I go through the calorie calculations, sodium, everything related to it. Now, I follow a lower protein diet, which is also low sodium. And the reason is I find that's what works best for me. Low protein diets are gaining a lot of popularity when it comes to kidney disease because they've shown to be highly effective, and a lot of nutrition and major medical organizations started recommending it. It's not the only diet or only approach for kidney disease. It's just one. It's one that really works for me because I'm 11 years longer that I've had my transplant than I was supposed to. I'm going on 18 years, and they told me I'd be lucky if I got like 7 years out of it because I didn't get a good transplant. It never worked that great. It was a cadaver. The best I got it working for the first couple of years was 3B, and then through diet, lifestyle, supplements, working with a lot of different nephrologists, getting different people's opinion, I was able to get that function up and put me in a much better place where I'm much more stable. But if I eat more protein, I know because I've experimented with different diets before, my creatinine goes up, GFR goes down, and then I have more protein in the urine. So a low protein diet is what I follow, and here's my diet from yesterday. So I started the day with a So Delicious yogurt. It was coconut based, had no protein, 2 grams of fiber, about 140 calories, and it did have some phosphorus additives. So you always have to watch out for packaged foods. When I say packaged foods, it's something like yogurt. It's a prepackaged food ready to eat. And because a lot of times they add phosphorus to it, and they don't have to list phosphorus on the label, so you're kind of guessing how much is in there. So this one had a diphosphorus potassium, one of these phosphorus additives in there, and it was about, I estimated, looking at other sources, about 25 to 50 milligrams of phosphorus for that. So that is a little bit on the higher end, but I don't have to watch phosphorus, I'm okay, but I'm just going through all the numbers. With that, I had a whole wheat piece of bread, and the difference between whole wheat and regular wheat is phosphorus content. That slice of bread had about 80 milligrams, had 3 grams of protein, 2 grams of fiber, maybe 3 grams of fiber, and it had about 130 milligrams of sodium because I always look for the lower sodium breads. Often I could find them like 70 milligrams, but this was a little bit higher. On it, I had a buttery spread. I had the Smart Balance, no salt added buttery spread made up of vegetable oils that when they're kept refrigerated, they solidify. Now, I used to use a lot of no salt butter, but I recently stopped it because for the first time ever, I had high cholesterol. And I know what it was. I was adding way too much no salt butter to my foods because butter makes it taste better, has more calories, makes you feel full. But I stopped that a couple weeks ago when I got that blood work showing the higher cholesterol. And I'm sure it's going to come down as I'm avoiding the butter now. Okay, so that was my breakfast. I also had a tablespoon of flaxseed oil. Flaxseed oil gives you about 120 calories, great healthy fat, good omega-3s for the kidney. So then I went on to lunch from there where I had about a 6-7 inch, it was a whole wheat roll, a vegetable sandwich. So the whole wheat roll did have a lot of sodium in that 270 milligram area. It had about 7 grams of protein, 6 to 7 grams of protein, 4 grams of fiber. And I put a bunch of vegetables on it. I put cucumbers, green peppers, a couple slices of tomatoes, onions, a little bit of spinach. And since it's a little bit of all the amounts, there's not a high amount of potassium from any one vegetable. So for just those vegetables, I'm going to say it was like in a cup area and around 300 milligrams of potassium. The bread didn't have a lot of phosphorus, so I didn't have to worry there. And so that was my lunch. I had oil and vinegar, oregano and pepper on that veggie sandwich. And it was very satisfying and full. And so that was my lunch. Then I went on later on with the day. I ended up having a dinner. And just double checking my dinner here, I had 2 tangerines and about a cup of kasha, buckwheat. It's a whole grain. It's fairly kidney friendly. It does have a little bit more phosphorus, but not a lot. And the 2 tangerines were small, very small ones. So even though it does give you a little bit more potassium, you could say about 140 milligrams each, since they were small, it's acceptable. Now, in someone else's renal diet, if you're watching potassium, you may not want to have those medium or large tangerines. You could probably be okay with a small one. And then I had a cup of kasha, buckwheat, a whole grain, fairly low protein, 4 or 5 grams maybe for the cup. Everything was low sodium in the meal because I didn't add any extra sodium. I did have a little bit of no salt mustard, which is a little difficult to find, but I was able to find a couple no salt mustards that I've been using. And so that was my dinner. Then from there, I did get a little bit hungrier later, and so I was sitting on the couch watching TV, and I had about 8 cups of popcorn. Now it was Skinny Pop popcorn, which has a much less sodium count, 175 milligrams of sodium. It's about 7 grams of fiber, 5 grams of protein, 75 milligrams of phosphorus. So overall, that's pretty kidney friendly. After that, I had a small peach, about 50 calories, 1 gram of protein, had some fiber from there. And then later on, I ended up having 2 bowls of an oat-based cereal with some rice milk, which that added quite a bit of sodium, about 400 to 500 milligrams. So that was my highest portion for the day, about 230 milligrams sodium. 230 milligrams phosphorus. It was actually 400 milligrams of sodium. And then I ended up having about 2 liters of water, and then about 16 ounces of pomegranate juice. Now that really gave me a lot of potassium. Even though I diluted the pomegranate juice over a couple hours, where I would take a little pomegranate, add a bunch of water, so it allowed me to be real hydrated. I got about 2 liters a day of the water. Now pomegranate is very kidney friendly, but it's high potassium. Those 2 glasses alone were like 1,000 milligrams of potassium. So I added up my whole day, basically came out to about 35, 40 grams of protein. I'm going to say more in that 40 gram area, which still keeps it a low to what some people even consider a very low protein diet. Had about 25 grams of fiber, about 2,200 to 2,500, 2,600 milligrams of potassium. Now, the consensus now among all researchers, all professionals, that if you don't have an issue with potassium, you don't have to watch it. If you were on a lower potassium diet, then you probably want to keep that potassium in that 2,000 range. Now for phosphorus, I had about 900 milligrams, which is acceptable in just about everybody's kidney diet unless you're going extremely low phosphorus. So overall, you can see that I kept that my day of food. It was about 1,800 calories. I kept it low sodium. I kept it low phosphorus. Sodium for the day was about 1,700 milligrams, 1,800 milligrams in that area. So one thing I didn't mention. So it still keeps it under the recommendations for a low sodium diet. And I felt pretty full, pretty good, felt well fed. Now, a couple things about my diet. I could have had a better diet. Sure, I think I could have added in some vegetables maybe at dinner. I didn't really need those 2 cups of cereal. Maybe I could have had 1 cup of cereal and had something else more kidney friendly. If you're a diabetic, since the diet is a little higher in carbohydrates, as you see, you need to watch your blood sugar. You need to test it, see what the effect has, and structure your own diet that may be better for you. So that's my typical day, a low to fairly very low protein diet, but all the numbers were good. I felt good. I felt satiated, and it was just my overall day. So thanks for watching, everybody. I hope that helps some people that are looking at a kidney diet. It could always be room for improvement, but that's my diet for yesterday. So thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and if you haven't, and to your best kidney health. Bye.